Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be listening to a new band to me entitled Blood, Sweat and Tears. I assume that's the band and not the song name because I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know sounds more like a song name to me. Although Blood, Sweat and Tears could make a song, couldn't it? Did they do a song by that title? I wonder. Blood, Sweat and Tears, also known as BS&T, is an American jazz rock music group founded in New York City in 1967, noted for a combination of brass with rock instrumentation. Brass with rock instrumentation. Is that kind of going back to the big band origins of rock music, or is it a completely different angle on it all? BS&T has gone through numerous iterations with varying personnel and has encompassed a wide range of musical styles. Their sound has merged rock, pop, and R&B soul music with big band jazz. Big band jazz. I'm not so far off, am I? In addition to original music, the group is known for arrangements of popular songs by Laura Nyro, James Taylor, Carole King, The Band, The Rolling Stones, Billie Holiday, and many others. The group has also adapted music from Eric Satie, Thelonious Monk, and Sergei Prokofiev into their arrangements. That sounds interesting. Al Kooper said that I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know was a split tribute to Otis Redding and James Brown. Kooper goes on to say that the band was so nervous about his vocal skills that he prepared a practical joke to ease the tension. On the first recording take, he started singing the lyrics in French, having memorized them that way beforehand. Everybody stopped in shock, and he innocently smirked. "Oh, you wanted me to sing it in English?" Then there was take 2. So why were they nervous about his vocal skills? Is it because they weren't sure he was up to the task? Or is it because maybe they thought that they weren't up to the task? I don't know. I don't know enough about Al Kooper's singing to place it, but that was a fun joke. Let's see how it sounds.
If I ever leave you, you can say I told you so. And if I ever hurt you, baby, you know I hurt myself as well. Is that in a way for a man to carry on? You think he wants his little loved one gone?
Definitely has a bit of a jazzy swing feel to it, and this little da-dum, bum, 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 a little bit of mystery and suspense thrown in there, musically speaking.
His little loved one gone. I love you, baby, more than you'll ever know. More than you'll ever know. When I wasn't making too much money, you know where my paycheck went. You know I brought it home to baby, and I never spent one red cent. Is that in a way for a man to carry on? You think it wants his little loved one gone? I love you, baby.
So, the brass there. It's a great mix because this is so slippery, loose, flexible, swing, jazzy style, sultry, sensuous. And then the brass comes in with these straight tones, straight, and it cuts through and kind of contrasts with all of this flex and squish, as I like to say, that is happening around it. And then that wonderful little, let's back up and hear it, that little shift in the harmonies as the brass walks us to the next place. It's great.
You sat on a way for man to carry on. You think it wants his little loved one gone. I love you, baby, more than you'll ever know, more than you'll ever know.
Bum 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 bum. Where's that coming from? Oh, what is it? Well, it's probably not quoted from a specific piece, but it has a very, very distinctive, organized fingerprint, as you might find in a classical piece. And I know that there is a classical piece that it's kind of sending me towards, but I can't follow the trail all the way there in this moment. Maybe I'll remember it before we get to the end. Maybe not.
More than you ever know.
There is something, because I'm wanting to go major. There's something that I have in my memory, but he goes to a flat note on the top. Dee dum bum 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 dum bum 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 bum. Listen.
More than you ever know.
Bum, 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 bum.
I'm not trying to be any kind of man. I'm trying to be somebody you can love, trust, and understand. I know that I can be, yeah, a part of you that no one else can see. I just gotta hear you say it's alright. Yeah, only flesh and blood.
Nice mix between the orchestral instruments, which definitely have a bit of an orchestral sound, and then something like the bass, which is doing the classic jazz blues style bass, walking around and that bassy sound. I don't know who's playing the bass here, but it doesn't feel piecemeal. It feels like it holds together, and I guess that's why I'm enjoying it, because I can unwind the different elements and say, oh, this goes here, this goes there, but all together it really does feel good.
Only flesh and blood, but I could be everything that you demand. I could be president of General Motors, baby, or just a tiny little grain of sand. Sat on a way for a man to carry on. You think it wants his little loved one gone. I love you, baby. I love you, baby. I love you more than you'll ever know. say I told you so. And if I ever hurt you, you know I hurt myself as well. Is that an way for a man to carry on? You think you want this little loved one gone? I tried to tell you I love you, baby. I love you. I love you more than you'll ever know. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I love you, I love you, I love you, baby. Told you so many times before, I love you, I love you, I love you. You don't know, I have to tell you one more time, I love you, I love you, I love you.
You know, I guess the thing that I find most interesting about the musical structure and shape of this piece is that even though there's a fly in front of my face here, what I was saying is even though I don't think I've ever heard this piece before, I don't remember hearing it ever, I'm quite positive I haven't heard it. There's something about it, and I was trying to kind of gesture it with my hands. Bom, bom, because there was something very, very sequential about it, very systematic, very organized, and logically structured. You could even say predictable. Predictable is not all bad. It's not always good either. You don't want it so predictable that you feel like, oh, okay, I don't even have to listen to this piece. I know what's coming. All right, I heard 2 notes, I'm done. No, I don't mean that level of predictable. But each little section that came along, I could fall into it pretty quickly. And blues music and jazz music doesn't always do that to me. Sure, I can fall into the you could physically start to feel yourself moving with it, but that doesn't mean you know exactly what's going to come next. But this one had a bit of the classic, or I could even say neoclassical organization and predictability, which they mentioned Prokofiev. And Prokofiev did some kind of neoclassical stuff. Well, what do I mean by neoclassical? Classical, we have, let me break it down a little bit. There's classical with a big C and classical with a little c. Classical with a little c is a generic term we apply to Western art music in general. Classical with a big C is a certain era of that tradition, which includes Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven. Those are the big names of that era. Moonlight Sonata, Fiorelise, Mozart's piano sonatas, Eine kleine Nachtmusik, those things which you might have heard somewhere along the way. Well, or let's say Joseph Haydn's Surprise Symphony. They all have a certain order and predictability and harmonic system. Then jump ahead some many decades. We pass the Romantic era. We come to the 20th century. And modern 20th century classical composers were looking for a way to freshen their approach, break away from the massive thickness and massive romanticism of the Romantic era, emotional expression and all, to kind of clean it up and clarify without returning to the old-fashioned harmonic language. So what did they do? They took the structures, the way of designing music, and they applied that in their new harmonic language. And so we end up with some really interesting, very clean, clear, organized, even edgy music, which has a bit of modern edge and spice to it. Well, here, I feel like there's that sort of, it's kind of like that, in that this is clearly a rock, blues, jazz, swing mix, but along the way, there is this clarity and organization, which is not just structural, it's also harmonic. And not just harmonic, but the way the different instruments enter their parts, the sequencing of the notes, we could say. And so I felt like when I heard one or two notes in a line, I could kind of feel what was going to come next. Very, very organized and systematic. And maybe that's why that little section that I heard, I said, it feels like it belongs to a piece of music I've heard before. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's simply the patterning, which is so familiar, it makes me feel like I heard it somewhere before, because it's a very natural figure and progression in the classical tradition of musical language. Well, I haven't talked about the voice, and I feel like it's worth a bit of discussion, especially because, as he said, the band was nervous about his performance. I'm still curious why. I noticed that it wasn't a voice that was just pouring out the deepest passions and emotions from the most inner part of oneself, as we sometimes hear in the blues style singing. It was a very clean voice, rather light, but that doesn't mean it wasn't unstylistic, shall I say. That's a weird way of stating it. But anyway, the idea is he rode the waves of the music incredibly well, and we could hear everything. I feel like I want to say this whole thing was just exactly right in all the right places. It was well balanced, well structured, predictable, organized, and the kind of thing you can just fall into and start moving. It feels like the kind of piece that, if you're into that kind of dancing, you could just kind of dance to it spontaneously, because it carries you through the flow and the movement so naturally. The part that I enjoyed the most about the whole piece was that spot near the end where everything came to a dead halt for a moment. And there was this feeling of silence and suspension. Again, it was in just the right place. Nothing really unpredictable. It was predictably unpredictable. Shall I say that? But it was very well placed. Paced, too. It made you wait, it made you wait, it made you wait. And then we fell back into it. And I love that kind of interruption of the flow. Not so much that we lose the impact of the piece, but you build up and you carry through, and then to make your point most emphatically, you pause for grand effect. We could even say it's a little bit theatrical, it's a rhetorical technique. And it worked very well here. It was something that kept it from becoming monotonous towards the end. And this piece runs the risk of becoming monotonous because it can be so predictable. But that was a great way of just shaping it a little bit, and there we go. Well, there's my first exposure to Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And if anybody can enlighten me on why the band was nervous about his performance, I'm curious to know, because he sounded very competent to me. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you soon.